introduce Gina, our first speaker for tonight. What I will do, Gina, is I will hand over to you to
Thank you so much.
introduce yourself, because I know that you'll do a better job of it than me.
Hi folks, I'm Gina and I'm here to talk to you today to ask the question of what you're doing with all the time AI is saving you. So, down, how exciting. I bought this clicker the other day and it works, so we're very excited. So this came from AI is everywhere. I hear those two letters more times in a day than I think I've ever heard any two letters in my life. And I feel like there is a really interesting thing at the moment of we're being told that it's going to give us so much time back. But everybody I speak to seems to be busier and more overloaded than ever. So it got me thinking of some of the things that I've done in my career and the concept of thinking space. So it's kind of what we're going to explore today. So work expands to fill the space that you give it. Has anybody come across Parkinson's law before? Nice. I like to think of it in terms of bags. So if I go out and I've only got my pockets, I'm only going to put like a phone and my keys in my pocket. But if I've got a big suitcase to go on holiday, I'm absolutely going to fill it. And I think it's the same with time. And again, going back to that, what are we doing with all the time AI is saving us? AI is supposed to be giving us more time, but we're busier than ever. And a kind of paradox of Parkinson's law. So what we fill that time with is still our choice. And there's so much hype and hubbub at the moment of what we should be doing with AI or what we should be doing with our time. But yeah, what we fill that time with is still our choice. Thinking space. So I've worked as a consultant in various tech companies for the last 15 years. And I'm going to talk to you today about 3 stories in my career where this is pre-AI. So yeah, I've worked in tech for about 15 years and all of these things are non-AI related. So if you wanted me to talk to you about AI tooling, then I would leave now because that's not what this talk is about. So I'm going to talk to you today about what does it cost when thinking space collapses? The second question we're going to answer is what does thinking space look like when we protect it? And the third and final question is what happens when we restore that thinking space? So that's me. I did a candid photo shoot. So this is a space where you can take photos of yourself with a really fancy camera. It was dead fun. So I think I said this before, 15 years of experience as a delivery lead product owner type role, building products and systems used by millions of people every day. And some of that we will go into in a bit. Creating more does not equal success. And AI, again, is giving us the ability to create so much stuff now. And I'm guilty of it, asking my mate Claude a few things. And then it comes up with all of this information. I think, oof, I'm not using it correctly. I need to shut the laptop. And then I feel like my head is just as full as the screen that I'm seeing. If anybody's read Team Topologies, this is one of for me, the best questions in the whole book. There is a lot of other really good stuff and it's used by many, many people across the world. But what value are you providing and to whom? And this question, I think, is getting lost, and not because people don't care about the question itself, but we don't always have the space to ask it because we're creating so much more stuff than we probably ever had. So question number 1 is, what does it cost when thinking space collapses? So my first ever product owner role was probably about 10 years ago, and I worked for a property portal and we were releasing a new feature, and my first job to be be the manager of the stuff, and we were expected to get this feature out. We told the world and its mum this thing was going out, and I get a phone call from a senior manager to say, customer X, Y, and Z is not getting any data. To add to that, all of the senior leadership team were on a retreat, and the biggest customer, one of the biggest customers, was no longer getting any of their data. So I was in my mid-20s and the stakeholder that was supposed to make the decisions was off sick. And it's probably about 2 hours after go live that the client made this phone call that they weren't getting any data. And I'd approved this feature without it being like signed off by all of the different stakeholder groups. We'd spoken to most of them, 3 out of 4 groups, and lots of different people, but not this specific client. Luckily, we were able to roll the feature back. Thank you, property switches or feature flags or whatever they're called nowadays. And the next day, I remember another senior manager coming to my desk and telling me how disappointed they were in me. This isn't really anything to do with the story, but I felt super sad that someone was really disappointed because I'd made a bad decision. So the feature itself worked. The technology was fine, but what failed here is the thinking space. So we were so excited to ship the feature that we stopped asking ourselves whether we should. And the lesson here is to stop and ask some questions. So in this talk, I don't think I'm going to teach you anything new. I'm sorry about that. But it's more a consolidation of some, I hope it's not boring, but anyway, is some simple, well, kind of like a curation of the things that I've learned from being really red-faced in offices and feeling like I've really fucked up. The other question that I always want to ask myself is, what value am I providing and to whom? So the second question that I want to dig into a little bit is what happens when we protect our thinking space. A much better project this time. So I'm a little bit further on in my career and I'm still a product owner. And I worked for a large retailer in the UK. And in 180 days, we released a loyalty program to one store. And within 18 months, it was out to 15 million customers. And the team was around 18 people to start with, but it didn't really grow much more in size than that. So I guess there's a real difference between me as a person, like 25-year-old Gina, versus, I don't know, slightly older Gina, being able to lead a team to protect some thinking space. So how is it possible? We were creating a hyper-personalised loyalty scheme for a big retailer in the UK, and I was a PO, a little bit more experience, and data science backed, customer tested. So we got anybody that was connected to this loyalty program in the same team. So from the person that was crunching the numbers and the data as to what offers you would get by using this app, to somebody that was working in a call center that was speaking to the customers. So slightly different to the project before, when we spoke to a few people, got really excited, built a thing, released it, and had to roll it back. So within about 180 days, we were out to one store, and we chose a store really specifically that was away from any other store that company had. And it allowed us to kind of ring fence within one store a few customers to be able to test something for us. So it allowed us to make some incremental changes to get us to the point where the whole country, and it's probably about 7 or 8 years old now, and it's still out there, and I still use the app most days, and I'm very surprised and delighted when I get some points when I use my app. One of the really important things here is we created that space to think. Everybody in the team knew what they were doing. We all knew who each other was, like why we were here, and we created kind of like those small connection points with each other. And the best time to change things is at the blueprint stage. So if we're building a house, it's probably best to think about where we're going to put the bedrooms and the bathroom or whatever before we've put all of the walls up and the plumbing. And also a process of questioning. So taking the time to understand like the most important points and to proactively build that time into our project. So again, I feel like I've put this in too many times now. When I wrote the slides, like it felt like a good idea. Ignore it. What value are you providing and to whom? So the third question is what happens when you restore it? So third and final project I'm going to talk to you about today, very, very different. So we were 12 months into a 24-month program, big public sector, data center is about to close, really, really demotivated team. And to be honest, it felt a little bit hopeless. And when I joined the team, it was sold to me as a technology problem. I'm not a technologist. I am a delivery manager that dabbles in product. So we were migrating a mission critical data platform in the public sector. The system itself is older than me. And I think it was during COVID. So at one point, nobody cared about this project because everybody was thinking about other stuff. And then halfway in, we're closing that data center and we've got about 5 petabytes of data to get migrated. There's no downtime and there's constant deltas. I gave a similar talk about this project. I think it was at CTO Craft. And I found this image to compare the scale of bytes. So I think all of you will remember DVDs, right? I feel like this is the level where DVDs make sense. Love that. So a petabyte of data is a stack of DVDs as tall as a 55-story building. So the amount of data that we were migrating that's constantly evolving and being updated was 5 times the size of 55-story buildings. So there's a lot of data. So I joined as a delivery lead to get the project over the line, get the data center closed, no problem. But the challenge wasn't the technology at all. It was the team. There was a real lack of psychological safety in the team. They were struggling to communicate with each other. There was a lot of conflict, and it's more that I think it was kind of a bit of old school and new school, if anybody's worked in a team like that before. And it really felt impossible, and no amount of velocity story points or burn down charts could have fixed our data center challenge. And AI didn't even really exist then. So we're thinking about what happens when you restore thinking space. So we're 12 months into a 24-month project, and people are running really, 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 really fast to do a thing really, really quickly, but getting nowhere and tripping over their own feet. So effectively, we had one team with 2 sides, the old school and the new school. So one half of the team, I guess, was supporting a system that's mission critical, over 30 years old, and cannot go down because X, Y, and Z could happen, with a group of people that we just want to put it in the cloud. This is the pre-AI conversation. It's the same thing, just on a smaller scale. So yeah, we just need to put everything into the cloud. No. We just need to keep everything the same. So one of the things that I did with this team, has anybody come across the 5 dysfunctions of a team? If you've got that book downstairs, that would be the one that you should give people. If you don't, it's fine. It's a great book. So yeah, use the concept of the 5 dysfunctions of the team, and also quite a lot of one-on-one conversations with them to understand why we were in the situation we were in. And some of the people in that team had worked on that system for over 30 years. And I think at the time I was like 32. So people had looked after this system since I was like born. And it was a really strange situation to be in, to kind of lead a team in this kind of dysfunction and understand that we're all human at the end of the day. So yeah, I facilitated a whole bunch of sessions to using things like team charters and roadmaps, because there was lots of stuff and it was everywhere. And also aligning our stakeholders to a new plan. We did migrate 5 petabytes worth of data. And I was dead proud of the team. We also saved the company a whole bunch of money and blah, blah, blah. But the lesson here is the space that we create isn't just about the work that we're doing. Sometimes sometimes all the time, it has to be about people first. And I don't think AI would have helped me or this team solve this problem. So 3 questions. God, I've gone through this dead quick. this is the first time I've given this talk as well, and it's given me some thinking space of how I can improve it. Anyway, so our 3 lessons here are really stop and ask questions before we rush ahead and ask Claude another question. Ask what value we're providing and to whom. And the third thing is remember that human beings still exist in our teams and we should create space for each other and ourselves. So a question for you folks, so what are you doing all the time AI is saving you? Thank you.